Hi, and welcome to another episode of Friendly Vlogs Journal. Today's topic is about the first steps of the planning process.
What we will cover. First, set up the grazing chart. Second, note management concerns. Third, record herd information. Fourth, look for exclusion periods. 5, we will check for unfavorable grazing patterns. 6, then note paddocks that are still available. And at last, paddocks that need special attention.
When you think about planning your grazing, you might think it's only important to plan the moves, the actual moves of the herd. The problem with that is that you might just forget a whole bunch of things and that you are not looking at the whole context of your whole operation. The aim is to set up the context in which you will graze, to get the best possible moves you can.
The first step is to set up your grazing plan. Note down all the pastures you have and their size. So for example, I already did prepare ours, so I just copy pasted them in here. Here you have the size, here has a number or the name of the paddock. So that's the first step.
Second step, look at the management concerns.
For example, your lambing period, when you're putting your rams in, when you might be drenching, or whatever comes to mind. Everything that's in the management of your operation. Here what we do is we use color coding. Our lambing will start the 2nd of April. So what we do is we color code it up with the green and it ends mid-May. So we will color code it as well with green. Then what we also did is we color code the period where the most lambs will fall. We use those kind of color codes to mark the special events or the management concerns that are affecting our grazing unit.
Third step, integrate your livestock.
Then you record your livestock numbers. You can do that here for each month when they are changing. Because we are using spreadsheets, we can also use different tabs here and then link them to the grazing chart. So for example, here we write in the type of animal we have and how it converts to the total number of animal units.
The fourth step is to record the exclusion zones.
Now that we know our management concerns, we need to look at which paddocks we need to exclude from our rotation in certain periods. For example, you can do that with Excel by doing a vertical coloration in red, for example. Here you can see I did color this paddock in red because the neighbor is grazing there at that period of time, so we will not graze right next to him.
When you are excluding paddocks from your grazing plan, think about constraints that might happen in some kind of periods. For example, wildlife, birds that could nest at a certain kind of time. Maybe exclude that in that time, exclude a certain kind of paddock. In our case, we also have to exclude some areas because of hunting, because the hunters don't want us to graze at that time of the year in those areas. So this is why we have to exclude them. The fifth step is to check for unfavorable grazing patterns.
Always doing the same grazing pattern will favor one species over another. So what we are doing here is we are looking to change our grazing pattern from year to year. For example, this is last year's grazing plan. In this paddock, we did graze late in the growing season.
There are two phases in the life cycle of a perennial grass plant that are critical. First, in early spring, when the plant takes energy from the roots to grow new young leaves. And the second is when the plant goes into dormancy. So just like a tree, it takes energy from the leaves and puts it down into the root system. so that when new growth starts to happen, it will take that energy after dormancy to regrow those new leaves.
Now that we know which paddock we grazed late in the growing season and which we grazed early in the growing season, we can mark them on the calendar. So now the same paddock that we grazed last year that I just showed you at the end of the growing season, we will not graze this year at the end of the growing season.
The sixth step is to note the paddocks that are still available.
So in this step, you can see that we marked all the paddocks that we can graze and the ones we cannot graze with all the information we have seen before. We just did that by color coding the names of the paddocks in green or red.
The seventh and the last step for today is to mark paddocks that might need special attention, like this one.
We did mark the paddock you just saw where the horse is. These are the paddocks that I'm mechanically opening right now, so we need to look at animal impact behind this mechanical intervention. So this is why we marked it here, for example, in orange.
I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned how to set up your grazing plan. A little update on Riff before I go home. He's getting a bit better, or he's getting a lot better. He's eating now, so that's very good. And yeah, we have all hope that he'll be working in a few months. Keep tuned for the next videos. Have a good rest of the next week. See you soon. Bye.